Good morning, here we are. And as people know that have been on before, I set the timer and it was set to 10 minutes. It is now. So that's going to go off. And I want to make these a kind of a short sound bite. Thank you for Rebecca commenting and on Facebook, because I know this goes out to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. There's no one really watching it on YouTube. I've got 22 subscribers. So if you want to be subscriber 23, that'd be super cool and appreciated. But Rebecca commented on Facebook, thanks for these kind of little soundbite pieces of these nuggets of information. And that's what this principle is. Now you can see I've got a prompt lined up of alignment. And if you haven't heard me talk before, or you haven't seen any of my content at all, I have an acronym which is MAP, which is Manifest Aligned Prosperity, and that is actually my framework for conscious development. Everything I build on when I work with clients, when I look at my own life, and I'm going to be brutally honest this morning about some elements that have cropped up in my own life. And we talk about alignment. It's not a throwaway word. It's a word that really has a significance of who we are, why we're here, and what we're here to do, and kind of the legacy that we leave, the imprint we leave in our space, commercially, community, EE, in the community, with our family, whatever it is. It's what did we do that it was truly aligned to us. And what's really interesting is I spoke to my partner briefly this morning. Sorry about the ums. Clearly, I'm a little bit not as awake as I should be. Maybe I need a little bit more coffee. And here's the Robin mug, which I seem to bring to all the lives. So have a sip of your drink, your chosen choice. Oh, I love a coffee. My partner said, alignment is truth. It's our truth. If we're living out of alignment, something's not right. We're not being congruent. What we're saying, how we're showing up, the results we're getting. And it's a real key factor to, success on a business platform, success humanitarily, and success across all walks of our life, depending on how you measure those. Now, the middle part of my acronym, MAP, is alignment. And it's a real measure and check. I've worked with a client and we were talking through the 5 elements of the MAP. And it was talking about business. I went, okay, so how is that in alignment with yourself and your values that go all the way back to you, your core, your identity, and your beliefs of how you want to show up in the business space? And his look was all it. Okay, so we need to go back to how you're operating as an individual. Is it in alignment with where you want to put yourself? Are you pitching into a certain space when really that's not what you want to do? And I understand sometimes in business, in commercial enterprises at work, we sometimes have to do those things that we don't really want to, but it helps us get to that next step. We all have to do it, sometimes more often than not. I've had to do it. I've had to step back into employment when I had to kind of do a reset and recalibrate. I've evidenced that all the way through the content that I share. And it gave me a chance to figure out, what is the alignment like in my life? Or is it not there? Because it clearly wasn't present, the model I was operating on. So, for instance, if we look at another element of the model and the MAP, and if you want to have the MAP, by all means, drop me an email, message me, I'll send it across to you. All I ask is your email address in exchange. I believe that's fair value, and you've got that reference point. You can have it on your phone. I get some people that print them off. I can even send you hard copies if you would like to do that, and you can put it somewhere where it just reminds you about this recalibration model of how to create alignment in your life. So if we look at relationships, okay, sometimes there's a real push and pull in relationships. Personal relationships, professional relationships, societal relationships. And this is what I refer to as the seesaw point of the framework. This is the middle point of the 5 elements that take you from self, identity, the core of who you are, to life fulfillment. And if you are in a relationship, in whatever context, and the alignment isn't there, it will be present. It will be present either in the person's words, their actions, yours. It's not always about the other person, because this is a reflection of what I would encourage you to work on. And if it's out of alignment, if there's too much push and pull, which is, there's a kind of a symbiotic relationship there. But if it's heavily weighted to it, that's out of alignment, and something won't sit energetically within you. So if we come back to the core of my model, because we talk about self, we talk about our well-being to protect ourselves, we talk about then our relationships, then we talk about our financial position, and then we talk about life fulfillment. And it's taking you from here in a direct line to where you want to go in an aligned way. But if we come back to that core of who we are, if something is in alignment in that relationship, we're not being true to ourselves. So coming back around to what my partner was saying this to me this morning, and thank you, Kelly, for that, it's our truth. Are we living wholly in our truth? Do we want to be in this relationship? Do we want to have that relationship? Whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's a community interest, whatever it is, you know, is the other person or the other situation asking too much from you? Being unreasonable, not coming around to your perspective and looking at how you live your life. There's something I learned years ago, which is when someone asks you a favor, I used to really get myself caught. I go, yeah, sure, you know, because I want to help people. I want to help people as much as I possibly can. And I used to get caught out by this. So now I reframe the word, and I've used it, if I possibly can. So if you ask me to do a favor, if I possibly can, what that says is don't be unreasonable. Okay. I live in Cornwall. If you ask me to drive you to Scotland by the end of the day and I go, yeah, sure. Do you think that's going to put my life out of alignment? But you've clearly not thought about the request you're throwing into my world. So I will counter and go, if I possibly can. So you let me know the favor you're asking me. And I go, I appreciate what you're asking, but I can't possibly do that. And what you're doing is you're protecting yourself and you're creating those boundaries that we hear so much about, but that's in alignment with who you are. Because if you throw yourself out, massively so, to do someone a favor that hasn't really given you some consideration, that's not in alignment. There's an imbalance there. And all I'm doing is to check, and I've got 3 minutes left on the timer because I will not go over 10 minutes. Okay, might be a few seconds, but you get my point. That's just one example of how relationships get caught out. Another, for instance, you know, I like to do an element of voluntary work, and you could say, you know, I've done some before in the past to do with the company, medical support at festivals. It was really, really good. And I know some people that do that, but they do it to the detriment of their personal situation, their relationships, their well-being and themselves. Now, it's a really cool thing that they're doing. It's very philanthropic. It's very, you're giving back to a community. But the problem being is that individual, the core, will break if they're digging too much into fulfillment because they don't have those other things aligned beforehand, themselves, their well-being, their relationships, their financial position. Because let's be honest, unless we have a financial position that can support us to do the things we want to do, something that's going to go bang and pop. And leading into that, I'm going to be really honest about an assessment I've made myself in the business space is that I'm not generating as much business as I would like to. In fact, it's pretty minimal. And I have to ask myself, is what I'm delivering a commercially viable product or service offering? Now, I'll have a rethink. I'll rewrap my products. I'll reassess. I'll create some digital products. I'll put some offers out and I'll do that. But this is the core of who I am. Am I in the right space? Am I doing the right thing? I've got a brilliant philosophy and a brilliant framework with conscious development in the MAP. However, is it really making the impact that I expected it can do going through my day to day, my weeks to weeks, my months to months? And I'll throw that to you. Is what you are doing, is it in alignment? Are you actually getting the results, or are you, you know, as I say, avoiding the signs? You see the signs, but you're avoiding them. And this comes back to living in our truth. And this is what alignment is about. So again, Kelly, thank you very much for that this morning, because that's a real sharp reminder. When I do these lives, sure, I put a word up on here and it's a prompt, but I don't come with a script. Okay, this is from the heart. This is from my intuitive knowing of how to communicate with individuals and peoples so that you live a purpose-driven life. When I work with businesses and teams, the first thing I do is I have a conversation with each of the team members, literally a one-to-one. I want to know a little bit about them. I'm not going to go in and start talking to teams and go, you need to change this, you need to do this, because I haven't got a clue who those human beings are in the equation. Okay, it's the same with one-to-one clients, but we dig into what is important to them as individuals. I look at their well-being. I look at their relationships, I look at their financial position, and I look at ultimately what they want to get from life and what they want to give to life. So if you're running a business, whether you're an owner operator, or you're actually thinking about how can I get the best from my team, it's like figure out really what they're here to do. And if it means that because of alignment, they're not meant to be in the space with you or vice versa, then those conversations are the thing that needs to happen. And sometimes those are the conversations that we put off, but those are the most important conversations that we need to have. So hopefully this morning you got an idea of alignment and how important it is in our world. Scan the QR code. It's somewhere here on the screen. I keep going back to front. I managed to get the screen the right way around this time. First time I did it. I mean, I'm only on episode 4. So, okay, maybe episode 10 it will be a little bit more slick. But I'm not about the slickness. I'm about the delivery of the intent and the purpose of the things that we need to move forward in life. Scan the QR code. Connect with me. Reach out. I really don't know that phrase. days, but just connect and do something, okay? So we can dig into this alignment and to see how beneficial it is for you and the people you care about in your world, okay? Have a wonderful day. And this is literally about to go in about 5 seconds. You'll hear the alarm. And if there's anything you'd like to ask me, please do. You know, I don't shout. I'm sharing these freely in order that we can all move forward on that growth path of our timeline. Have a wonderful day and think about the alignment.